Hello guys, my name is Gordo. Welcome back to another episode of Generation Shock. On today's episode, we're going to be talking what we left off last week on aliens and a bunch of other stuff that are really coming soon. Sorry for that,
His
guys,
name is Gordo.
Yeah, no, sorry for that, guys. It's stressful day, straightforward week at work, so, my bad. I apologize. But, like I said, we're going to talk about aliens today. We're going to start off with Lewis here. Lewis, what is your thought on aliens? Do they exist? Are we alone? What is your opinion? What is your belief?
Well, I believe that we're not the only ones in this planet. I mean, we're not I can't say this planet because they're not just.
Come on.
No shit.
No shit
in the solar system, in the universe, in space. We're not the only ones. To think that we are the only living right species in just the whole galaxy, I believe is naive. But the origin of it is what baffles me the most.
Okay.
Out of all that. So yes, I do. To answer the question, yes, I do believe there's other life forms out there in the big ass universe. Yes, I do.
Okay. What about you, Nelson? What about you? What is your belief?
I believe so. I mean, if you think about it, I mean, I think the Pentagon just caught a UFO, right? The picture of a UFO.
Yeah.
Right.
So, yeah, it wasn't the Pentagon. I think it was the Navy or the Air Force.
Yeah.
The
Pentagon, I guess, released the photos. I don't know, but
yeah,
I mean,
I really said NASA. It was a whole shit ordeal. It was just crazy.
Yeah. So I mean,
yeah,
I think so. Whatever planet they may be on, because obviously, we can't be the only ones, right? I mean, something had to create something to create something to create something. So, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I believe that there is in some way, shape, or form, wherever they are, whether they take human form or they're just on another planet. I don't know. I might
sorry,
pull
I just
off.
have to laugh because Brian's face is like, what the fuck?
Brian's probably the alien. I'm gonna have to peel that face off.
I'm just listening. I'm just trying to. I'm just sitting back, listening, and then waiting my turn. Whatever.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Shake, man. What is your belief? What is your belief on this aliens?
So to me, I don't know. I don't think the big question is if there's aliens in the universe, because there's more stars in this universe than there are grains of sand on the earth, right? It's just mathematically impossible that there's not other life forms around. To me, I think the question that we should be asking, and that I'd be curious to talk about with you guys, would be like the ancient alien theory, right? That people sit there and say that religion is based on aliens, not on actual gods and things like that. That, for instance, chariots of fire were aliens that came down and they didn't have a way to describe it, so they talked about it that way. The pyramids were technology given, and that's why they had helmets. And there's different theories out there that, to me, that's where I would have the topic of discussion and I'd want to discuss.
Okay.
Because I definitely think there's life out there, but is there life that came to this planet? Is there life that influenced us in certain ways? And are ancient aliens true, or is it just a something that somebody's saying to kind of puff it up?
Okay, so back that up. So quick question for you: pyramids, human-made or outer world?
So everything's human made. The in my opinion, at least, right? Everything's made by humans. But where did they get the knowledge or ability to create it? How is it that there are multiple things on this earth when there was zero capabilities for these cultures to communicate and talk to each other, to have similar things going on, right? So there are pyramids in Egypt that are all flat and straight, but there's the step pyramids that were in Peru and Mexico and all these other places, right? Yep. And if you notice, a lot of these ancient cultures worshipped beings from the sky, right? And they all have these different stories about these beings from the sky that came down. I mean, even the Bible talked about Ezekiel walking up a ladder and being taken away and then coming back after a certain point. Is that just him going up into a spaceship? Correct, but that's what they say. But was that just him going into a spaceship? Did we describe things in a manner because they couldn't understand?
That's actually interesting that you bring that up also.
Yeah.
Because there's a tie. I never put a tie into religion and an outside form, alien form, or outside of the planet, on the universe form. I never put that together, but I did hear that what you talked about. I've heard other people tell me, the chariot of that chariot thing that you talked about. Somebody brought up that concept to me. Well, they brought it up. They must have read something you read also, and I was like, that could be something true, but they just couldn't know. They didn't know how to describe it, and they just named it as a god or something. Remember, a lot of the stuff is just unexplained, so people have to, in order for it to make sense, they have to come up with something for them to be like, wait, the only way to explain this is that.
Well, human nature is we describe things as we know them in our current time, right? And so if we saw something today that we completely didn't understand or know, then we'd have to find a way to describe it. So if there was a machine or something that came down and we didn't understand it, we would try to find our physical nature of what we know as at this time to be able to talk about and describe those things. And that's what they did. They knew what chariots were, right? So how do you describe a machine that people travel in when the only machine that people traveled in were chariots? But this chariot's on fire because it's entering our atmosphere and it's coming down with smoke and loud noises and things of that nature, right? So it's just, that's why. I'm just curious what you guys think, like Nelson, Gordo.
Okay,
go ahead. Yeah, because then what I'm going to do is I like to also, when you bring stuff like that, but I have a bunch of questions run through my mind. Listen. I will say this real quick, and I'm not trying to cut you off because I know, but I've done the one thing I'm very into for me personally is I watch a lot of history. I used to watch a lot of History Channel stuff, and I still watch it when it pops up on Netflix. I'm very big into those ancient alien shows, and that's where I learn a lot of the stuff. And I'll be honest, it's not just about reading. I watch a lot about it, and they talk about all these different theories that are out there and about ways that you can describe the Bible, you can describe religion, and you can technically connect it to an ancient alien theory. That these things that you can try to describe it by extraterrestrials who came down and did different things. When you talk about demigods and stuff, right? Those are aliens possibly that were mingling with the population and different things of that nature. Well, me growing up in religion, right? My mother would actually battle you on this. She knows more about the Bible than I do, obviously, but she would say that's just a way of humans trying to fool you by saying it's aliens because they don't want to spread the word of God and stuff like that. Because it's a thin line between religion, a belief between something like that, right? Science. You're talking about science versus religion, even though sometimes they go together, and this is how they solve certain things. But that's usually what it comes down to, and that would be a big battle.
You're right.
Hey, is it science or is it religion?
Yeah.
Or each generation will, I can't say each century will probably determine what God looks like, or what technology or science will be, right?
So my only argument would be for your mother, for instance, and I'm not, my only argument would be is this. So with the Mayans, that was their religion, right? Mm-hmm. But now today, she's saying their religion is false. It's not accurate because Christianity is the religion, right? So,
she wouldn't exactly say it was false. She would just say, is it a different interpretation of the same God?
But there's multiple. So how do you
exactly? But it still falls into the same thing. One God is just different religion or different culture interprets them differently.
But they interpret different beings. They're considered separate people.
But it still falls under one God.
So you're saying that God came down and just took multiple forms?
No, if you're an alien, you could.
That's my point. If there's different alien
beings. But as
beings.
I'm saying, each generation, I can't say generation, each century, each era,
There you go.
Each era will identify God differently.
Each culture, I think, is what you're trying to say. Not era, because eras are different. But
Well, because the Mayans believed in the Mayan calendar is a lot different, so it's more alien-like, right?
But what I'm saying is this: the era of the Mayans and the Egyptians, for instance, if they're paralleling each other, right? They're both having multiple gods. It's not just about the era. It's about, but they have completely different gods, right? That's their culture. Your culture depicts your God, right? Because there's different forms of Christianity.
Yeah, it does.
You know, so
Right,
I would think it'd be a culture. It wouldn't just be necessarily an era of time we live in.
Era?
Yeah. But
Yeah.
I don't know. Like I said, I'd like to hear Nelson and Gordo because they haven't said anything about it. I want to know what you guys think.
Yeah.
Do you believe in the ancient alien thing? Do you believe it's a possibility? If there is life out there, maybe they traveled here, maybe they influenced us, but I guess, and then I'll tell you why funny enough, why I kind of contradict that whole theory at the same time. So go ahead.
Yeah. So my opinion is plain and simple. The world is this big. The universe is this big, per se. There's no possible way we're the only living organism in there. Like
Well, define living. Is it life forms like us or to a nuclear level?
any other type of life form. Like, not to a nuclear level, because to a nuclear level we cells and whatever. But
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying.
yeah, like there gotta be some other beings out there.
So the terminology and the definition, I think what you're looking for is intelligent. Because if those life forms came here, it's a form of intelligent life. Is there other intelligent life out there? I think that's what you're trying to get to.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Because it doesn't make no sense. Because we're not the lucky ones. Let's be honest. We're not going to be the only lucky ones in the whole universe to have life form. Earth is not the only planet that's inhabitable. There's other planets that are inhabitable that NASA has found out that, hey, they have like good living conditions. Who says that there isn't living organisms in there? But they just don't have the technology to either travel or to communicate.
It's true.
That's my thing. Like, there's got to be other like life form out there, intelligent life form, but it's just that they don't have the means of transportation or communication.
So then that's my point. So you're saying you don't believe in the ancient alien theory because the whole difference between that is that they were able to do that. Because what you're saying, there's life forms out there like us. Basically, whether they look like us or not, we have intelligent life forms out there who are identical to us. We don't have the means to travel, go anywhere, or do anything, right? But are there the life forms that are more advanced than us that have broken those laws and those abilities to be able to get to us and influenced us in a certain way? That's where we're trying to get at.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nelson, what do you think?
I don't know. I think they made Men in Black for a reason. That's just my opinion.
It could be.
I mean, I think they made it for a reason.
You think people will like leak out certain information through different arts?
Well, think about it. I mean, just think about that, right? Think about Disney movies that have like hidden messages in them. Like if you look on YouTube,
we think the hidden messages. It's just an artist's drawing. It's just people looking for shit.
True, but what if it's another life trying to give us something?
Well,
give us a message.
If you saw Frozen, let's take this into consideration. Whatever. You saw Frozen. Anna and Elsa had their parents left in a boat, and they died. Tarzan, his parents.
You're talking about Frozen 2, though, right?
Frozen 1.
Because that's when they describe it.
But but it happened in the first one. It happened in the first one. He's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
And Tarzan, his parents died they were left on that island due to a boat crash, right? There's a conspiracy saying that they are related because those are his parents as well. When they left on that boat,
siblings. Yep.
When they left on that boat, they got stranded on that island, and that's how Tarzan was born. They saying that.
Yeah, but
Tarzan
what does that? Okay, so what does that have to do with conspiracy?
No, that's what I'm saying. Like when he was saying, what if people are making, let's say, revealing stuff,
hidden messages
through art, to distract from the truth. Distract you from the truth.
Yeah, but that when you're trying to tie in that in, what they could be doing is connecting Disney one cartoon to another, because Disney always drop off those Easter eggs somewhere. Every time you watch a Disney movie, now the topic is Disney. Every time we jump into every time you watch a Disney movie, there's always Easter eggs of other Disney movies, right? So there's always that. So, but I'm just still curious because Nelson, that answer was a little bit too short. Do you believe
it was
that
too vague too?
Aliens are out there.
He really didn't get into all of it.
Well,
because
you
tickle my ears, bro.
tickle your ears.
Now he's trying to get freaky with aliens.
Oh man,
He was just hoping that
that was
alien come out.
I mean, hold on. Before I tickle your ears, let me drink something.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't. I won't speak. Like, I mean, Brian obviously seems to be the expert on the topic. So, based on what he's saying. But I mean, I just think that we have NASA, we have all this, and we're not going places. You know what I'm saying? We say we've done this, we say we've done that. But I think like I said, I think there is forms of life. Like maybe it's not sustainable for us to live on, right? Because just like New York people, they said they got to stay in the cold. They don't want to be in the heat. But I think there's other forms of life on other planets. And obviously we can't go there. Based on our living needs. But I mean, how do we know? We haven't been those places. We haven't got full proof of those things. We talked about last show, like the moon landing was fake.
Which a lot of people saying that it was actually true.
Yeah, it was true. And then, it's funny because when we talked about, I started receiving articles. So I had one employee, right? He was like, "Yo, check this out." Boom. He sent me mad text. He's like, "Yo, here's ammo in case it ever comes up again." There's actually five. Look at this. This is how I did 5, like this.
5. Actually 5.
Look, all I had is a sip, bro. All I had is this much.
Bro.
I'm already.
This is 5 now, Brian.
Yo, there's 5 vehicles, bro, in the moon still. Left behind. 1 by the Russians, 3 by the Americans, and I don't know where the other one came from, because there's supposed to be 5. And I was reading the article, reading in deeper into the article, and it was saying that one of them was sent up there with better picture, better camera to take mapping of the moon, and they actually went around, right? So, and with that camera, they were able also to pick up the other stuff that was left behind. So there you go. People have been to the moon. It's not a conspiracy. Yet people would say you're only reading an article. How do you know that much is true? This and this and that. Well, I just go based on science and based on how much we evolved as humans, right? And in technology itself. If the question comes up, you can also say, well, didn't Russia send a monkey to the moon or to space? Yeah, to the moon. They sent a monkey to the moon. I believe so. Yeah, so
maybe they
there's
did.
that.
I don't know.
I don't know. Back on the other topic, though.
And there's 2 people right now. There's 2 people right now that's going up to outer space through SpaceX. 2 astronauts right now. I was reading it. They're gonna launch them up.
But see, you guys,
I think they're gonna be the first one to fly with.
But you're forgetting. So if we go back to that topic real quick for a second, you guys are still missing the point. There's a difference between going into our orbit and going into true space. Okay.
Yeah, of course.
So yes, we know because you're still protected by the Earth's magnetic field. But the point is once you break that magnetic field, there are theories out there that human beings can't survive. So that's what I'm trying. That was the whole point of that topic, was that that human beings cannot survive cosmic radiation. That our bodies will not be able to handle it. And what you're going to tell me, just some regular old metal is going to be able to stop these microscopic particles that are freaking magnetic, magnetic field of the Earth is protecting? We don't have a magnetic field around a spaceship, right? So what is it that's truly helping prevent cosmic radiation, gamma rays, sun rays, all those different things for people who traveled to the moon, right? That was the whole point of this conspiracy, that those are the types of things that we weren't able to solve. So that I mean, if we're going to talk about that, my other thing is that I was trying to finish about the alien thing real quick. Was I was trying to have you?
We'll go back to that right now.
Yeah, was the reason why the alien theory a little bit breaks down to me at times is this. It's the same thing about religion sometimes that breaks down to me a little bit, right? Is why is it 2,000 years ago, 3,000 years ago, aliens, right, supposedly, or religion supposedly was predominant in everyday life, right? We had prophets. We had God intervene. We had Jesus. We had all those different things, right? Why are we not, what is it about us that we're not worthy to have any of that today? Aliens don't give a shit about us anymore. They came down 3,000 years ago, influenced and said, peace out. You guys aren't worth my fucking time anymore. That God said, hey, I'm going to remove myself from the equation and I'm not going to give you guys profits. I'm not going to get involved in the world and the things anymore. Like, why is it that all of a sudden everything changed?
Maybe, or because now we're going to go back into that religion thing. Maybe there is out there, but now they're a perfect example, right? And I'm going to use a show as an example. You ever watched a show on Netflix called Messiah? Right? If you show, it'll give you an example of a person, if he was to be like the Messiah, the new Jesus, right? How in modern time, how we would deal with it. And if you watch that show, it would answer some of those questions you had.
It's not about the Jesus part, because Jesus is supposed to be only coming back when that happens. But where's the prophets?
Coming, the Messiah.
Where's Abraham? Yeah. Where's Noah?
He was a prophet,
right? Where's Joseph? Where's all those other people? Where's Peter, Paul, Jacob? Where's all those people? How come we don't have any? She was never a prophet.
There's Mother Teresa.
She wasn't a prophet of God.
She was a person that was.
She was a saint.
Showing love.
There's saints.
Well, what's the difference between a saint and a prophet?
A prophet is somebody who speaks to God and speaks His word. That is the direct definition of a prophet. He will write down the word of God. Okay. We don't have anybody for the last since Jesus and the prophets died off. We don't have anybody claiming other than a certain religion, that I'm not going to bring in religion, but we don't have that predominant in this world. People don't believe in that today, right? So why is that?
Maybe because they're distracted. Maybe it got put out. Maybe it got pushed out. Maybe it's being used. Maybe technology in itself is distracting. Maybe media in itself is distracting. Maybe you're not out there looking for it because they're trying to keep you away from it. There's a lot of shit. This shit can go like so many different ways. But again, it's.
I get it. So then it goes back to the aliens. So back to the aliens. Why don't we see them?
Yeah.
Why don't we? Why aren't they interacting with us?
That's what I'm saying. We just
maybe they're just smarter than us.
But
we just finished saying that.
But we
NASA
knew they interact.
A clip.
I get it, but my point is this: they interacted with us as a society in the ancient alien theory. They came down and they interacted with us. Why would they not interact with us now? Do you see that's all I'm trying to say. It's not about all that other stuff. Why were they more worthy of interaction 2,000 years ago and now they're not? Like, if there was truly aliens, right, that could travel galaxies and shit, the government can't cover that up. I don't give a fuck what you say. There's no way the government can stop a being who has the power to travel through the galaxy, because we know it's dear near impossible for us to be able to say, no, we're not going to let you be known to the public. Right? That's what I feel like debunks the whole theory of all that shit. Now I go back to what Nelson says. Is there life out there? And Gordo said, yes. Is there intelligent life out there? Yes. But they're not necessarily enough to come to us. Well, you got to remember, when we look out into the stars, when we look out into space, we are looking millions and millions of years into the past. Okay? So everything that we see through a telescope, everything that we see happen is happening in the past. How do we break that barrier to travel from point A to point B? We could, I'm not saying it's impossible, but what you're saying is these beings have found a way to travel hundreds and thousands of light years in an instant so that they can interact with us at that exact moment.
Yeah. Well, I also believe, because remember, a UFO is an unidentified flying object, right? So makes sense of things was maybe it's a new aircraft that we don't know about and they're just testing it out.
Yeah, I agree.
It's a test flight.
And that's the whole point.
It's a test flight,
Exactly.
and it gets caught on camera.
And
it gets
gov-
caught on camera.
No.
The government
It won't get
uses
caught on
that
camera,
as a
bro.
conspiracy.
Pentagon
The
don't have
aliens are a
cameras.
conspiracy. If we want to go back to the conspiracy theory, aliens are a conspiracy created by the government in order to take the public's focus off of what they're doing with technology and those types of things. You're right. The Black Hawk Project back in the day, things like that. It's easier to get people to think it's that than let people think it's this new thing that they're putting out. But if that's the truth, then it comes down to corporate espionage or whatever it is, which kind of ties us into, I know what you guys want to to about next.
The segue, it kind
that's
of
perfect.
segues us.
I do got a question though, since I gotta bash this. I gotta bash this team. You think aliens gave the Astros the signs?
Says the guy with the Astro hat. They learned that from an alien.
Hey, I only bought it because I like this. That's it. That's the only reason why I bought it.
Yeah.
Nice. And
Only
on
one
that
that
note,
had
we're gonna
that.
leave the aliens topic there for you guys. But we're gonna go now with our second segment of the day, which is gonna.
But before we do that, Goldo, if you guys agree or disagree with what was said here about the aliens and the mixtures of topics bouncing back and forth of the topics, anything to say, leave it in a comment. Don't forget to like, subscribe. Let us know how you guys feel. Write it down on the actual comments. I know some people usually tell us how they feel in person. You know, some of us tell us in person, but it would be also cool if they let us know in the comments. And, you know, we're there to answer the questions. Okay,
We will
Guys,
respond.
remember one thing: the monster on the mic, SheckMonster. You got. I won't know unless you put it into the comment. I'm up here in the Northeast. I want to know what you guys have to say about it. I want to know if you think I'm right or wrong.
Yep.
We did get a comment in the last show, and I'm a little upset I didn't put it up. They combated my theory about the moon landing, and I thought that was really cool for them to do that. And I should have went ahead and made sure I had it ready to be able to give them a shout out, because they were telling me about how China and other countries and different things. But yeah, man, let me know what you guys think, because I'm not able to listen to it like the other three, you know, so I want to know what's going on.
Yes,
Exactly.
yes. So,
Listen to
All right,
like
next
what I was
topic, Goldo,
saying,
bring it up.
Next topic is
I'm
brought
ready.
to you by Nelson. Nelson, this is your topic. Nelson, what is today's topic about? What is the new topic?
So let me set the mood for you. It was a windy night,
Mood music.
full off a barbecue, sitting on a bench with a good friend of mine named Messiah. And I'm not talking about the Netflix show. I'm talking about that handsome young gentleman on your screen there, ladies. We were just talking about corporate greed. You know, now granted, this is just my opinion and me looking out to in of what I think of it. You know what they are. So I'll just jump into it real quick, and you guys will probably know exactly what I'm talking about. Apple, I love your product, so don't kill me. But Apple's one of them for me, and let me tell you why. So you think about it, right? And you guys can piggyback off this, right? A company, Apple probably goes into these meetings and they negotiate, right? Or the company who's trying to buy their products, they're trying to negotiate price and quantity and, wholesale. And they're like, hey, can we purchase your products at this price? And Apple's like, no. Would you do would you do this price? And they're like, no. Are we done here, or we're gonna be out? And then they're about to leave the meeting.
I disagree with a lot of this, but go ahead. I disagree with a lot of this.
Okay. But
hold on,
it's
but
good.
let me
It's
get
good
my
that you
comment.
disagree, but finish,
Wait,
Nelson.
my God, that's fine. I'm perfect as that. So, right, they're gonna go leave the meeting, and they're like, "Listen, you either want our product or not." And then obviously the company buys it, right? So think about this. There's a company out there that purchased Apple products at full price. That is the company's product, technically, right?
Yep.
If I buy it full price, it is my product. I have the ability to do what I want with it, right? Should be.
Yeah.
And that is not the case. Because if this company takes money off of that specific product, we can get penalized. We can lose their contract with that company. How does that make any sense?
Yeah. Was that a question? Did you end that with a question? Or?
Yeah. How does that? Yeah, that's my question. So I'll give it to Brian. Let's go to Brian real quick, Gordon. Then you go next because Brian disagrees. Okay. So Brian, if I buy that mic from you, and I go to sell it, and I can't sell it less than what I just bought it from you, but it's mine, why is that?
So let's first start this, and I'm going to be that tool that does this, right? What is the definition of corporate greed? Let me go ahead and tell you. According to what I'm finding online, right? Corporate greed is when a corporation makes decisions and moves that allow them to make more money, but without taking social responsibilities. Okay, another definition real quick, right? A corporation's pursuit of gaining over a sufficient quantity of wealth by making decisions that are absent of any notion of morals and ethics. Okay, Apple, the loans, those companies that give you loans over the phone and all that shit. We'll talk about that after you finish the Apple product. So for Apple is this. The reason why I disagree so strongly about this is, for instance, I'll use this show as an example. Okay, if we are to get sponsored hypothetically for this show, or we want to do something with this show, are you going to go ahead and do it for corn? No, you have a value. But you have a value you put on this product that we're producing, right? And if you allow somebody to buy this product and they do something with it that you don't agree with, they begin to devalue your product. Corporate greed isn't you saying that I value my product at this price. I will not let anybody for any reason buy it for less, number one. And I will not let anybody for any reason sell it for less, number two. And I will make sure that I maintain the integrity of my product because of where I value it. That isn't corporate greed. Corporate greed is companies that are trying to take over and monopolize industries. Companies that are trying to
Amazon,
exactly. That are trying to buy into every market on every aspect to have complete control over the market. That is corporate greed. Buying into Whole Foods, buying into internet, that want to take complete control and technically have no social consciousness, because once you become a monopoly in an industry, you lose social consciousness because you no longer care about the industry because you have complete control over it. Right? So to me, Apple is not a good example of that. Apple is a niche industry who deals with phones, laptops, and computers. Hold on. But they don't have a monopoly in it. Go ahead. But they don't have a monopoly in it.
But I don't think... I think the conversation Nelson and I had at a bench after he described it, after eating a barbecue, we sat at that. It wasn't about corporate greed. It was more of about, hey, having the power to do this and tell a company, no, fuck you, you're still going to sell it at this price. But right? That's not corporate greed. You're right. That doesn't fall under the definition.
But regardless, if I believe that you should have a right to protect your brand, right? So I don't think any company should give up the right to say, I'm protecting my product. Because once again, that's like saying you're going to give the rights, you're going to allow people to do something with this show, Mezia, right? That you edit, you spend all your time into, all the research, all the editing, everything else, and you're going to let them devalue it by putting clips on there that make you look like a fool just because they gave you some money. Would you really want that to happen? If somebody gave you money, do you want to give them the right to make you look stupid, to take out certain parts and make you look like a fool? No, you want to make sure you still have control over your image, over your product.
Well, you're right about that. And then the part where Nelson was talking about has nothing to do with corporate greed.
Well, regardless of corporate greed.
The topic is corporate greed, But the discussion we were having was, could you imagine being Apple, being a company that wants to deal with Apple, and then Apple sets all the terms, right? They set all the terms like, oh yeah, you're gonna buy it a bulk, you don't get a discount even if you buy it. There's no wholesale. You're gonna buy it, and then you're forced to sell it at a profit, so you sell it for more than what Apple does itself. because the demand is there regardless. The demand's going to be there regardless. So you're still going to make money off of it. But then they also would say, oh, by the way, and you can't do this, and you can't do that, and you can't do it. And I get that. I get what you're saying about that. They're controlling it because it's a product that, they're trying to keep the control of it because it's something of theirs. It's their baby. They're like, hey, you ain't touching it. It's just like, you can't do anything to Disney. You can't do nothing to Disney because Disney's like, no, fuck that. If you're going to draw for Disney, it has to be this way or you're not going to get it done.
So let me ask you this. So let me ask you this, because this is where it comes down to. If Apple didn't do that, do you think Apple would be the monopoly or the juggernaut that it is?
They're not a monopoly.
Okay, that's what I said. The juggernaut that it is, if they allowed companies who bought their products to do whatever they wanted. So they're keeping the integrity of it.
Of course, yeah, and I'm cool with that, and I agree with that. Hey, keep the integrity on it. But it does have changed ever since Tim Cook has taken over. Yes, he opened it up a little bit more, made more money for the shareholders. They love him. Everything has to do with the shareholders. They love him and all that. But when Steve Jobs was there, he didn't open source a lot of this shit that's happening now. So it's a whole different thing, right? Whole different conversation, a whole different topic. But again, the topic is corporate greed. So Amazon, corporate greed. Pharmaceutical companies. We're price gouging because they're charging not you, they're charging your insurance. It's the reason why insurance is so high is because you have all these pharmacy companies that price gouge, and now everybody pays for that shit.
Yeah.
But nothing gets done. They'll get a penalty, right? They'll get a penalty for it. They'll pay a fine for it, but the shit never. They'll go to Capitol Hill. They'll have a big case on it. They'll sit with a bunch of government people, and then they'll scold them, and then they'll be like, okay, the guy will sit there and say, okay, we won't do it again. We'll look into it. We'll improve ourselves. We get a little bit better, and then we'll lower the price, and then nobody follows up after that shit, right? I'll give you a perfect example. I was watching this. The whole reason why I wanted to talk about this because there's this great show on Netflix called Dirty Money, and if you watch that shit, bro, it will be open your mind. You'll be like, damn, what they can get away with, right? And a lot of shit they can get away with, and because they're big companies, all they get is fines. There was one episode that I seen, right? So his name is Scott Tucker. He's a guy that decided to. You ever heard of Money Mutual?
Yeah.
That lending company. That if you don't have any money, they'll lend you money. Well, I didn't know this until I watched that episode. There's a fine print on that. That again, you know how everybody there's the terms and condition. Nobody checks. They check it off, but they'll say, click on this and then hit agree. But nobody actually reads the hyperlink, which gives you the terms and condition of everything you're checking. Nobody reads that. Dude, the interest rate on those money loan areas are like 600%.
Damn.
It's fucking crazy.
That's wild.
They target the poor, the people that need it the most, because they know that they're gonna fuck them. So that guy who created that whole thing, built an empire and all that, but that guy's went to court for it. They fucked him, right? Fucked him so bad. He went to court for it. He's serving 16 years in jail, federal jail. His lawyer or his partner is serving 7 years in jail. But then again, HSBC, Wells Fargo, these big companies come and they only get penalties. And the CEO and none of those people there will serve any time in jail. And that's what corporate greed is all about.
Have you guys watched Patriot Act by any chance on Netflix?
No.
No, I don't think I've watched that.
If you haven't, guys, and the subscribers, going to what Lewis is talking about, look at the episode where he talks about pharmaceuticals. It'll blow your mind.
It's crazy.
It literally talked about how, I'll just give you a snippet of it, how a CEO of a company that made a drug mixed with fentanyl, whatever. It was causing deaths. He got fined. He went to jail, right? For all that stuff. He went bankrupt, obviously, but then he became the CEO of the company that makes the vaccine for the overdoses that he caused.
So you're saying that this created the drug and the vaccine? It was charging people for it.
Yeah, he made the drug. He made the drug. He was the CEO of the company that made the drugs. Brian, you with me here? This is what happens. The guy makes the drugs. He's the CEO of the company. Goes to trial, goes to jail, gets fined. And then after he gets out, he's the CEO of the company that makes the vaccine.
Listen, you're absolutely right with what you're saying. I guess the difference is that's not a company, that's an individual. And I guess behind every company there are individuals. So I get what you're saying, but we all know there's human corruption, right? What's concerning is a corporation corruption. Hold on.
Yeah.
What's concerning is a company corruption, right? Meaning that the company corruption usually means there's more than one individual involved, right? That they're knowingly doing things that are socially and are economically not proper to our society and things of that nature. Because it takes multiple individuals for a corporation. It's not one person usually, right? That one guy found a way to monopolize his position, right? Position A, he created something that was really bad. Okay? The corporation, the corruption of the corporation was the fact that somebody was so money hungry, right, that they allowed him to be a part of their company to solve the problem he created. That's where the corruption comes in my opinion. It's not about the person. It's about the company that took him on to profit off of all the wrongdoing he already did. And that's not his fault then, right? That's that's the company's fault for allowing him to be a part of it, to be able to make a profit off of it.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I like
your take, Goldo.
Well, I don't know much about corporate greed because that's not my thing. I'm not big into like those kind of things. I don't pay attention to it. I just do my job and whatever. But it is eye opening, and it's for somebody that doesn't know much about the stuff going behind the curtains. It is eye opening, knowing and learning about this new stuff. So I'm just mind boggled right now. It's like, okay, it's crazy.
Well, here's the thing for you. Like, you want to know what happens in the background or certain, like, things that happen behind big companies and why monopoly exists, why there's a law against monopoly, right? Why it was created and all that. Get it when you get a chance. Do it on your own time. I guess I text everybody to check it out. When you get a chance, it's 2 seasons of it. It's called Dirty Money, and it talks about the shit that happens that you hear it in the news because a lot of shit's already in the news. The thing is that the documentary actually digs in deeper that the news don't give you. They give you the deep part of it, right? I give you an example like the Valiant pharmacy company, right? How they hired once they were going down. They weren't even worth nothing. They were a $2 billion company, right? They hired this guy, and the CEO came with this great mind, and he just started. He went from a $2.1 billion company. He turned into a $78 billion company. Think about that shit.
Damn.
And the way he did it is he did what Amazon does, right? Amazon goes and buys these little companies, right? They swallow the companies and they become part of it. So they companies, right? So what he did, he bought certain pharmaceutical companies that they were small. He started acquiring, so getting acquisitions. That was his thing. He had 120 of them. And it got to the point where a drug, he spent more money in the promoting the drug than in R&D, and that's why he got in trouble. Because all he thought about is, hey, how do I maximize? So the drug never changed, but the price kept on going up. It got to the point that this drug was costing people in a year $230,000 for for the drugs they need, and it's not something it's not like an aspirin and all that. It's shit that people need to continue living, so they have to buy this. So it price gouged it, right? And
Yeah.
it got to the point where that's how he grew the company. Forget about R&D. He didn't care about that shit. He cared about making money. But the thing is that in Wall Street, in that part of the industry, they don't care about anything as long as you're making them money. And that's the part that's fucked up.
Yeah, well,
They
the thing
they put money over health, money over humanity.
The problem with people when they look at companies, and I'm not saying Nelson did this with Apple at all, but the general public, when they look at a company like Apple, and maybe they agree with what Nelson was saying, right? The problem is they don't know the business side where you talk about research and development, R&D, right? They don't appreciate that has a price point to the public. And that's where the problem comes in, right? So why am I spending $1,200 on an Apple phone? Because of the amount of money that it took to be able to research and develop the product to work at a high function and not to have any issues like other brands, perhaps, right? That's what you're paying for. We all know the manufacturing of it is meaningless. They do it out of the country. It's not done in the US. The parts, the pieces, the labor is minuscule. You're not paying for that. You're paying for the research and development that went behind the product. And that's where people make mistakes when they're like, oh, well, why am I paying this? Why am I paying that? Yeah, you're right, Louis. It's the research and development. And then that's where the corruption comes in, because people are charging you theoretically for research and development that ends up being done.
Yeah. And he sat there on court and said he spends 8% on R&D, and then the lady was like, "But wait a minute, I'm gonna ask this guy, because this guy previously said it was 3%. So why are you saying 8 and he's saying 3?" And she was rough on him, bro. I was like, this lady is going ham on him. So, but in the end, the company's gone down and all that.
So,
but then,
question, Brian. Then to that, do you think there is much R&D from, I don't know, an iPhone 6 to a 6S?
No, not necessarily, but I guess my question would be, what's the price jump between a 6 and a 6S?
Almost $200.
No, when it comes out, like when the 6 originally came out, what did it sell for?
It dropped down.
No, that you're not listening. When the 6 originally
when it first came out,
how much was it the day the 6 came out? How much is it the day the 6S comes out? Like, what is the true price difference? Not when the 6S comes out, what they're selling the other phone for, right? But what is the actual cost of the 6 versus the 6S? They're usually about the same price, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong, but they're usually about the same price. Now, what happens
I think
is
every year the bigger phone, the newer phone comes out more.
Every year, not every half a year. Or no, well, every 2 years. Every 2 years, the price jumps considerably because they're upgrading it by a considerable amount. But usually, the S models or the mid-year or that 1 year model is actually selling for about the same price as the other model did. There's really not a huge price. There's not a price jump, from what I remember.
no.
But the difference is when you go 2 years from that, when you go from a 6 to a 7. There's usually an increase of about $50 to $100, probably from what it sold for 2 years ago, right? And that's just normal inflation and everything else. But from a 6 to a 6S, right? I don't know that there was a huge price jump between those two models from that 1 year. It's just the other model goes on sale so much and the price drops considerably that people assume that's the case. But the research and development's old, so you sell it for less. It's ran its course. So that's just normal.
Yeah. All right. So I guess we end it here, right? Because we're already at 50 minutes in on it. We end it with that note. Next week, Goldo, what are we talking about next week? How are we gonna start it off? What topic?
Next week, we're gonna start talking about This is gonna be saucy. It's gonna be saucy because being the only.
I'm excited about this one.
I cannot say what I was gonna say, but would Eminem made it as far as he did being white if he was black, or the other way around? How would people make it in different genres? For example, per se, how would a black man make it further in country, or how would a white man make it further in rap?
I think part of it is that we're trying to find out from you guys, and we want to see your comments down below before the show. Did the color of Eminem's skin influences success?
His career.
Well, his success. That's what a career is, right? His success. And does the color of your skin sometimes influence the success you can have, right? And that's what we're kind of trying to find out about, and that's what we want you guys to comment on.
Yeah, and there you go. And then we ended on that.
Hold on,
Brian,
I gotta give
Go ahead,
the people the sneaker of the day.
Oh, yes.
go ahead.
I need to see it. I want to know.
Brian wants to know. Okay, so these don't come out till Saturday officially, but I got a pre.
And you already have them?
Hey, don't get our show taken down. Don't get our show taken down. Oh, shit.
No, I won't. I got these legitly. These are the Flint 13s, ladies and gentlemen.
Ooh, those are crispy.
Crispy clean, right?
Yeah.
Like the
All
donuts.
right, so
like
the question that's on everybody's mind, what was the tag? What was the price tag? Because we talked about those $800 ones, like, and shit.
No,
What was the
no.
cost?
He got him way early.
That's my point.
So,
What's the tag?
I went for retail, $190.
Okay, that's good. That's
$190.
It's not good. It's not good, but shit.
It's a lot of sneakers.
How much was your haircut, bro? Because he had a lot to shave off.
Oh, you noticed.
I'm the one.
yeah.
I'm the one in
Oh
trouble
yeah,
now.
we did notice. We did.
I'm the
notice.
one in
Hey
trouble
Brian,
now.
Okay.
if you remember, what's his car payment?
Oh
Okay.
God, yeah.
All right.
More than it's literally triple my mortgage. Let's put it that way.
Jesus.
Wow.
All right, ladies and
Wanna
gentlemen.
leave my car?
I said we're gonna end it on this. Go ahead, Brian. Call yourself out.
Guys, just a reminder on the Monster on the Mic, SheckMonster. Make sure you subscribe, like, and add those comments. I want to hear what you have to say because I'm not there every day like the rest of them.
Dale gordo.
Yes.
Give him spit it.
Later, guys. Thank you for tuning in. Remember, comment, like, and subscribe. Please share it, even to your loved one, even if you're driving. Remember, don't text and drive, but just listen as a video. You know, listen to audio. That's it. But don't put your phones and start watching YouTube on the middle I-4. Okay, because I seen you guys.
I know I'm pretty, but I'm not
bro.
that pretty.
Go ahead, Messiah.
And we out. No, I'm just saying, thank you for watching and listening to us. As you can see, this is just us. We just calling each other and Skyping and just having a conversation, and you guys just happen to join us on it. That's why it looks more leisure. That's why it looks more relaxed. And basically, just having fun, just having a conversation with the bros. That's all it is. Also, one quick question before we finish here: should this be a podcast? Should it just be on YouTube, or should it be an actual podcast? That'll be right there.
Let us know.
I'll leave it in that.
McNutty
All right,
26.
and we out.
We out.